Hey guys, so coming back on here, gonna work on cleaning up and finishing up these beautiful teacher gifts that we're working on. So want to show you what we're gonna do. I'm gonna first finish the coasters. They're the easiest to just get done, move along kind of thing. So they're nice and solid. These have sat, unmolded now for a good 12 hours, maybe a little bit longer. Actually, I know a little bit longer. So they look really good, beautiful. There's a couple like little divots. I don't know what those are from. Oh, I actually might know what those are from. No? Huh. Maybe? No, I was thinking maybe something I set on top of it, but everything that I set on top didn't have little things like that. So anyway, doesn't matter. All right. So these ones I'm going to border in a silver. I think the silver is going to make them just pop. So this is a uni pen, paint pen. This is Marks on Anything. Really works well with resin. And we're just going round and round. Biggest thing is to not get too crazy, especially on the top part. I don't want to accidentally like jump over and end up on the front of this piece. Down here where we did that second layer, it's a little rougher. I'm not super worried about the silver covering that because ultimately speaking, it's pretty silver, and so it just kind of is blending as is. So I'm not super worried there. And this isn't like, hey, we got to get a good solid base on it or anything. It's just a finish up. Give it a finished look more than anything is what this is. It will show a few imperfections like our holes that maybe wouldn't pop out if we didn't do this. But overall, I think it gives the piece a more finished look ultimately. So that's why I like to do it. There's a little piece that didn't, it like folded itself in. I'll just go ahead and get it off of there. Now when working with the paint marker, you have to note that this, if you bump the front with it, you have super limited time to get that off. And I mean like split seconds of time. It dries so quickly and can leave a mark so fast. So that's why I say when you're towards the front of it, just be careful. The back, I'm not worried. If I bump a little across the back, I'll probably be able to blend it, or just, it is what it is because it's the bottom. The bottom, aka the back. Front, aka the top. So just kind of getting in the crevices, painting this on. It has a nice strong spray paint smell, just as an FYI. If you've never worked with these, don't be alarmed. That is normal. Ooh, I did go on the back side, but it just, it didn't even mark it. It just must have hit perfectly on the little brush part that it didn't even get it. I might need to press it down and get a little more paint rolling. Let's see here. I've had this one for a really long time. It honestly would not surprise me if it is about out, just because I've had it for so long. But for now, oh, I did it again. For now, it's still working, so I'm not gonna open a new one. I'll just keep rolling with it. Yeah, that gave it a nice finished look. Doesn't change much on our top, but the sides look done now, which is what you want. So just in comparison, gives you a more finished look. Yeah. Okay, so coaster number 1 is done. I'm going to set it out of our way. Oh, sorry. I have y'all charging. Let's just make sure that of course I'm in a tight spot, so I'm charging my phone at the same time, but my cord, I think, is caught underneath my wheel instead of my chair, so I moved my foot, and by golly, I moved y'all. All right. I do believe this one might be close to out. I don't know if I'm getting any more paint coming down or not. I can tell because it's just barely getting any. But I'm also like, I don't want to start a brand new one and then have excessive amount of paint. I want this pretty light look. So I'm trying to just roll with it, if you will. You know, like, okay. I just, yeah. That's coming along nicely. Very nicely. Now the question is, will I cover these? I've thought about it and I don't know if I have an answer yet. So I'm going to see if it's just going to come to me or I'm going to have to think about it and really make a decision. I don't know. I found I'm hitting the brush on the side more, and that's getting me more paint than the tip of it was, so that's what I'm going with. This geode mold is very nice. They're not deep enough little valleys that my pen doesn't go in it, which I like. That's the challenge with those, is going to be that it may be too deep. Well, not may. I know it's going to be too deep in between the petals. And so getting paint down in there is going to be challenging. So, all right. Number 2 done. Yay. Alrighty. Like I said, I don't know on these, so I'm just kind of like, we're riding it out. I'm just looking at different colors I have just to see if I had like one that I thought would accent well, but I think my best bet is either going to be the silver again or to go like this liquid gold, which I think that's the color we're going to do. So let me shake it up, 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 shake it up. And y'all are bouncing because the table's bouncing as I shake. Now this is a fine point one. Luckily this is pretty thin, so I'm not, oh, it might not even. Let's see if it will stick on here. Maybe I just don't have enough paint on the brush tip. It's not even really sticking. Huh. These ones might just end up being the way they are. Okay. Not liking how that was working. So let's go to our tried and true uni pen and see what it does. These lids are sometimes hard to get off. They hurt my fingers. Okay, this one is going to do it. Now, we'll get creative going down in there. And I'll show you guys how we're going to do that in a minute. I'm going to get all the surface that I can without going in, and then we'll go work on that. Oh yeah, needed this edge just to give it the done look. Oh, it's raining again here. My goodness, we've had so much rain lately. There's just areas where water is just pooled because the ground cannot keep up in absorbing all this rain. And it was looking like it earlier today, and I was like, oh, we're gonna really have more rain? But yep, probably what I'm hearing. That's why we're in the craft space, right? And we don't have to worry about it. We get to just hang out. So sometimes, like, the pouring process always does take time, obviously, but I will tell you, the finishing of things can take just as long as the pour times, because you have to go not too fast, and you have to do all the little detailing, and it's like, okay, once I detail this, then I gotta detail that. You know, it's just a process is what I would tell you. So you gotta definitely have some patience. I always say it's so funny that resin gives me so much peace, because I don't typically have a lot of patience. I'm very much a, like, if you're walking slow in front of me, it irritates me. If, you know, you're talking too slow, that irritates me. It's just the weirdest things. Like, if you're not getting your story told to me, I'm like, okay, is there a point to this kind of thing? That makes it look definitely more finished. You can just tell. Even if we don't get the insides of those done, that was needed. But we're gonna get the insides done, because this is not our first rodeo. Oh, there's a big chunk. Let's try to get that off really quick. But yeah, I'm like, so the fact that resin brings me so much peace is really ironic, since I'm not the most patient of person. But, you know, somehow it works for me. And we're gonna accept that as face value. It works. So, you know what? Don't try to fix something that ain't broken, is what I would say. You know, if you find your thing that gives you peace, that's important. If it's not giving you peace, don't do it. You don't have to be great at this. If this isn't your thing, it's not your thing. And that's okay. You know, I'll tell the famous story, or it's becoming the famous story, because I tell this, not obviously every series, but I tell this frequently enough. You know, there was this cross stitch pattern that I was doing, and it was frustrating the snot out of me. I couldn't understand the symbols, and the pattern just wasn't, like, the counting wasn't going correctly. Granted, it was a very cheapish cross stitch, hence why nothing was, like, making sense. So I was showing my sister, and she's like, Beck, it's giving you so much frustration. Cross stitch is supposed to bring you joy and happiness. And I was like, I know, but this, like, I gotta try to finish it. And she's like, why I was like, well, because I started it. And she's like, but it's not relaxing for you. And it's not bringing you joy. And I was like, oh, you mean I don't have to finish it? She's like, no. I was like, oh. I was like, I never thought of it that way. I was like, once I start a project, I have to finish. And she's like, no, if it's not bringing you joy, why put in your time and effort to it? And I was like, good point. Good point. So I have carried that with me, and I continue to carry it with me. And it's like, if something's not bringing you joy, why? I mean, granted, there are things you have to do as an adult that don't necessarily bring us joy. So don't take this to, well, Beck's Creations told me that if it didn't bring me joy to not finish it, so I just decided to not finish work. No, 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 no. I'm not taking responsibility for your adult responsibilities, so don't follow through with it from that standpoint, but from a standpoint of, like, if it's a artsy, crafty, and optional thing, then yes. And by all means, if you're able to quit work because it's not bringing you joy, financially you're able, roll with it. But, you know, other than that, don't do it. Okay? Alright, so we definitely need to get this paint down in the crevices. So, I got to clean my little silicone cups because that whole group is pretty well dirty. I am going to basically just push this paint pen down several times to release this paint into my container. This one might be pretty well gone. But don't fret, I've got another. So we'll pull this one out and try it, because we should get like a flow of paint going if we're doing it enough. Yeah, we're getting more. Okay. I'm just putting a little bit on my silicone paintbrush, and I'm hoping that will work, and if not, I've got plan B. This is going to take some patience, for sure, but it's going to be worth it. I have to move sort of quickly because it's even going to dry like in my container. As you can see, it's already done, so it's probably like we're gonna get one valley done and then have to give ourselves more. So, and it's not gonna be perfect, but it definitely is working. And it may not be 100% perfect, but I'm not gonna stress too much about that, because I feel like any little bit that I can get in there is truthfully a positive, because it's just gonna give it that finished look. And truthfully, I've just found that wiping it off this tip of the paint pen is pretty well perfect. And it's given me enough to get that done. So I had a little bit transfer, so I just wiped it off and that did it. Okay, so let's just do that again, because that got us lots. Ooh, that's nice. It's a little bit hard to make it stay in a way, like it was wanting to pull together and brush right back off, but there we go. There we go. Okay, and we'll keep going. How many of these? There's 5 per one, right? 5 alleys. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 5 alleys. Okay. I think I'm on 4. Not that I was counting, but based on my recollection. It's trying to come off of there. Okay. Oh yeah, one more on this one. Okay, so it's not as like terrible as I thought it might end up being. I've done something similar before on crevices, so I knew that it was possible. I couldn't remember if I'd used a silicone brush or what I had used to transfer, but this has worked out pretty good. And the paint should just peel right off the silicone. So it says it paints anything, and it really does stick to pretty much anything. But silicone's one of those that's just all bets are off when you're working with silicone. Oh, I brushed very fully. A little bit out of grease. Oh, I marked it. Dang it. I'm gonna have to figure that one out. It's probably not noticeable, but I can definitely see there's a streak there. All right, let's deal with that really quick. I don't really want to use rubbing alcohol, but it's about the only thing that's gonna work. So I sprayed just a smidge on my silicone brush just to see. Yep. Oh, sorry, I kicked y'all. I have an itch. You ever get one of those itches where you're just like, oh my gosh, I gotta scratch it right now? And that's what happened to me. It's probably just gonna be there. I mean, that's just probably the fact of the matter. But it's right there and it's driving me crazy. Driving me crazy. I was trying to think. Something. I am going to see if this blue tacky stuff will, rolling over it, kind of soften it. I don't know, it's kind of an out of the ballpark thing. Sorry while I slide and shake y'all around, but I do think it's somewhat coming up. This is gonna be one of those like weird life hacks that if this happens, oh my goodness, y'all, it's working. Like, I don't even know how I thought of this, but yep, that did it. There's like the smallest amount maybe on there, but I got it. I mean, wow. I don't even know what to say about that, because that is just crazy that worked. That was a real time, like, learning hack. There's like a little bit over here I really wasn't worried about, because And I'm just putting like a little bit of force on it as I go across it. And then almost like, if you can, get it to rub it. And then, of course, rub any of your tacky stuff up, that the residue that stays behind. And that totally works. It totally works. That's hilarious. Okay. So, that's our little hack of the day, right? I'll probably just scratch some of this off. It's just stuck to the bottom because it was sitting on here. This kind of stuff I'm not worried about. That's just part of it because that's the beautiful side. Okay. That is hilarious. Hilarious that worked. I love when I have a brilliant idea that just full on came out of left field and worked. Like, that was a total left fielder. Like, no rhyme or reason. My next thought was a magic eraser. Mr. Clean magic eraser was going to be my next kind of thought. But I'm afraid it might be too hard on the resin, whereas that blue tacky stuff doesn't do anything to the resin. It's just there. It just doesn't stick to it. So, this is funny. Funny that worked. Like, wow. Definitely one of those hidden trick gems that you'll get from me from time to time. That's just what you're going to get. And those that fast forward miss out on those, right? Not saying that I wouldn't fast forward in people's things. I get it. Because again, I'm a very much time person, but I decided when I was doing my YouTube in the beginning, I did a few where I sped them up and everything. And then I just realized, you know what? My go-to is going to be giving you the full tutorial. And the only thing I haven't always done fully is show y'all how to clean some of the tools before, because we've done it so many times on other episodes. It was just like, whatever on this series. Obviously, some of our dump pours, if those weren't the focused items, I didn't show you me finishing them up. Don't mind the dogs. Who knows? Amazon's already been here today, so I don't think it's them. Well, it's probably our neighbors. Although, normally they don't get that worked up. It's more of a like, hey, we want to go play. Can we go play? Work. Oh, I almost dropped that. Where it seems like it's raining, but it could just be the AC. I have my noise canceling headphones, so it could just be the way the AC is sounding. Oh, I have gotten a few spots, so we're gonna have to put some more elbow grease in here in a minute. As we've gone along, I've gotten a little bit messier. You know, it seems to be how it goes for me. I start out really good, and then not so much. Oh yeah, this is looking good. So excited about these teacher gifts. My daughter's super stoked too. Okay, there we go. What a mess. Now, that will probably be on my skin for a while. Probably should have had a glove on. That's okay. Alright, let's see if I can't use our newfound trick and get my somewhat of a fingerprint off of here. It takes a little bit of elbow grease, which is why y'all are bouncing. I apologize. They're also more amped because my husband's gone today, so they're like, hey, Mom, there's a potential threat. Oh, come on, you're so close to coming off of there. Now I've got that stuck underneath my finger. It's almost there. Yeah. I think we got it. I think we did. As good as it's gonna get. Now, there's this spot here. If I can get it. There's enough. Ouch. Pull my nail back. Let's not do that. This is why I don't suggest having your marker go over the edge, because you will spend more time trying to get it off than it took to paint the whole thing. I really don't think it's that noticeable. It's probably more me that it's noticeable on. So. Sorry. Trying to not move the entire table. Okay. It's just going to be what it is. Alright. At least it's not the line that I had going before. This almost looks like the mica wisp, and this could truthfully look that way too. So that's what I'm going to go with. Came up a little bit. Alright, so those are done. Look at that. We've got 4 coasters, 2 each for our teachers. Alright, let's go ahead and do the votives. Earrings are going to be the longest and the hardest to get done. That's just how they're going to be. The votives, really all we need to do is put a very thin layer of UV resin on them, and they're like done. So it's just going to be to bring the UV resin to the edge, to the center, cure it, and voila. It's literally going to be done. So I'm just trying to kind of bring it to the edge, leave a little bit of a gap in between where I'm squeezing it, but ultimately it should slowly self-level itself, and it's going to cover up any scratches, imperfections that when we're cleaning the edges up. It's going to hide those imperfections, which is what we want. That one needed just a smidge more. Alright, so I'll just make sure to bring it all the way to the edge and not let it come off the edge. That's the other big key. I want it to come up to the edge to smooth this out without going over the edge. And clean up a beautiful edge. Okay. Nice thing about UV resin is it's fairly dense, depending on the brand, I guess, but I've used a few different brands, and I will tell you that typically UV resin is a lot more dense than your 1-to-1 is. So with that, it's not gonna just overflow quickly off, which is nice because obviously we didn't want that to overflow quickly. We want to let that simmer for a second. Simmer. It's not really simmering, but you know, we want it to try to self-level itself. Just go around, pop any bubbles that might have been contemplating being there. I feel like that's a bubble, but it's not. All right, and then we're going to use our Counterculture DIY UV light. Now this is the double light, but we don't need the double side because we just really and honestly speaking need it to be the one side right now. Oh my gosh, y'all, I've told y'all. How long has that been? Okay, well, we're gonna fix this, okay? We're gonna fix you. So, yes, I was probably when I was going crazy with the when I was going crazy with the back and forth. So bear with me. I'm moving plugs around. Let's see. Actually, I'm just going to plug right in to there. But now, why did you stop? There we go. I'm like, what happened? Okay, so not really sure if you saw me do where you last were in this, but yeah. Here we go again. This is crafting with Beck. We do these things. I'm going to give it one more 60-second. And then truthfully, I'm going to let them sit and stay curing before I wrap them. We've got, I still have like 30 to 36 hours till she would need to take them to school with her. So I'm just going to let them sit until probably the morning of or the night right before, and then I'll wrap them in some tissue paper. They'll let any tackiness just fully work itself out. That is what's gonna happen. I knew I dipped that cord in some resin. We'll take that off the cord. Okay. Love it. So yeah, we don't need the bottom part of this for these two. Now for the earrings, we'll attach the bottom part. Oh, those, y'all, so smooth, so gorgeous. I'm going to leave them like that to finish doing what they need to, but they are done and stunningly done. Okay. I'm going to give my daughter an option to give the teachers each a worry stone for their pocket. And so because of that, there are some sharp edges. It's pretty sharp around here. So I'm just going to go ahead, take my deburring tool and just take a nice thin layer off of the edge so that it's not as sharp. And then we will take our UV resin and put a thin layer. And if I didn't catch putting the thin layer on the top of the votives, guess what? You're gonna get it this time. See, that's why we do multiple things. Oh, see, that's nice. It's a little bit difficult to keep the shape of the heart, but we got it. And I have a feeling going around and around is going to be a smidge difficult. because you got to be pretty consistent with your pressure. Oh yeah, we're getting there. Almost. Now you could take your Dremel and do this too. Sand it off of there, but that worked out good. Okay. So now we're gonna put a little bit of UV resin on this. You know, it helps. 101. UV resin 101. Tip 1. Make sure you take your lid off. You know, I mean, sometimes it's the minor details that really make a difference of the craft that you do. Truly. And you know what else? Tip number 2 is laugh at yourself. Have grace and laugh at yourself. Because you know what? Even when nobody's watching, we can still humor ourselves, right? Like, can be one of those things. Instead, I've got a whole channel of followers who watch and go, oh my gracious. She's had a camera hiccup. She's had... she can't take the lid off the UV resin. Like, what is going on with her? This is real crafting. Real life crafting. It's not all beautiful and pretty. You know, they say social media lies to you. Same thing with crafts. If you just see people putting out this beautiful content, those artists are beautiful and they do a beautiful job. But you know what? I'm sure they make same mistakes that we do. And it's just part of it. And if they don't, they're a robot. Be like, that's just the way it is, because you know what? There's no way that you're not going to have little hiccups like that. It's just part of it. They just cut it out. They edit it out. I don't have the patience to be editing you guys. I like the curated edited things. Well, but I don't have the patience. I think we would lose some of the authenticity of my channel. You didn't come here for an English lesson, okay? Okay. All right. Pop in any of these little bubbles that decided they need to be present and we don't want them to be. And then we're going to put this under the screen. Under the lamp. It did its 6-minute thing. Can we just do 60 seconds? Thank you. Probably going to do 120. So, well, we'll do the 180. All right, we'll do the 180. Just because we want, where that's on a darker background, I want to make sure it fully gets in there, essentially. All right. The next, we'll do this little keychain, because I think that will be pretty easy. And then, done, y'all. We gotta hook up some earrings, which those can always take a little bit too, because we're gonna do some fine detailing. I wanted to show you guys these. I'm probably not gonna work on these today, so I'm not doing all the earrings by any means, but if you remember when we unmolded them, they were very, very spongy and bendy. They're really not now. They have a little bit of a give, but it's definitely, they got much better, which is good. That's what we wanted. While that is curing, it's cured enough that if a piece of this falls onto that resin, it's not going to stick to it because it's cured enough in there, and we don't have any wet resin anywhere. I would suggest if you have poured resin, don't then go cleaning up another batch that you poured, because guess what? You'll have little slivers all in your resin. And unless that's the look you're going for, you're gonna come away not so happy. So I'm just taking my deburring tool and kind of coming in here where the extra was hanging out. It's just a very fine layer, so it's just a matter of taking it off. Biggest thing with these is I feel like they're a smidge fragile, so I want to be careful to not, you know, snap it. Not that we couldn't fix it if that happened, but I would. There's some things, like some challenges, that I would like to avoid when I'm crafting. You know, I make enough little challenges on my own that I would like to, some things I would like to avoid. Challenges that I create without meaning to, but that do happen. This one's a little bit more spongy than that other one. I love this counterculture cloth, or like UV light, because it has a countdown, and I so need that. Like, for my ADHD brain, that is so pleasing. We were in the store the other day, and my daughter was like, she saw a display that was like all color coded and nicely done and neat, and she was like, this display just makes me happy. It's just makes me happy. And I was like, yeah, I can see that. All right, pocket hugs. Or pocket worry stone hugs. Worry stone pocket hugs. Say that 10 times fast. Okay? Okay. Alright. So let's do our little heart, because like I said, I think it is going to be the easiest to get finished. And I'm kind of working ourselves, you know, along the way of like easy to harder. Okay, that's what I'm doing. All right, so we're gonna get some UV resin tape. I like to take my little plastic stir sticks to give me some solidness in between them. People use popsicle sticks a lot of times in between them, or you can curl the tape so that it's on there, so forth. Whatever works for you, roll with it. This is what I found that works for me, and I just have stuck with it, and I love it. All right, so we have two things that we've got going. We want to fill our heart, and I've got a little bubble here that I want to fill. So for the bubble, I want just the tiniest piece of this UV tape. Okay, just throw that along. And I'm going to put it essentially right here on the edge. I'm going to curl it around, and I'm going to press that in nice and solid. And then for this part, I'm going to press it down, especially over here where the heart is, because I want to get that really full on. Okay, so we are going to put a little bit of UV resin into, I could put it into a silicone cup, but I had this little tray, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to use it and then dispose of it. Basically, it was going to go in the garbage anyway. We're just going to use it, then I don't have to clean anything. Done. This was sitting under the lamp, so it's basically cured. Comes right off. of our silicone. Now, if you've got a lot of bright lights like I do, you do have to be careful with UV resin. You might end up forcing it to start curing on yourself when you pour some out like this, because guess what? We're dealing with lights in a chemical that wants, or that hardens with light. So not just a UV light per se. So just be conscientious of that. All right, this is a magenta. And this is that interference, or no, this is chameleon powder. It's a smidge different than the interference. The interference, you start with like a iridescent. It's very white, whereas this starts with color. So I just put just a smidge in there, probably a little more than I actually need. So I'm going to just bring the resin that I need over. I'm going to add a little resin to this. Now, we got to be careful that we don't splatter everywhere. Let me squeeze out our bottle, see? If I end up with a little more than what I need, it's okay. I'll throw it into an earring mold. It will work. But we had more powder than we did resin by far. And when you're working with UV resin, you want to make sure that you don't end up with too much of the additive, because UV resin is very sensitive to that. If you have too much of it, it will not cure up very well at all. So now I am trying to go down in there and make sure I don't have a bubble, hopefully. But I definitely wanted this heart to be a different color. I just think it's cute. Now, of course, we had a bubble right there in our yellow, so it's gonna, you know, fill in that bubble, of course, and makes it a little less prominent of our heart, but that's okay. So you notice that I put this on a clear tray. This is the tray that goes in the light so that we can use both bottom and top. And that's what we're gonna do. Let's see. I believe I put what I want in this tote a little bit ago. There's our finished stuff. I just put them on top of this tote to, you know, give us room. All right, we're gonna use that same mold, because it is a UV mold. It can be used. You just can't use solid molds. So our pink molds would not work in this scenario. But this is a clear mold, so we can definitely use it. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to put this extra just in the bottom half, basically, of this mold. I'm just getting as much as I can out and in to these as we can. We can always add more later, but since this is already mixed to be this particular color, I want to get as much as I can in there and layered on. Okay, so now we're going to hook up our top and bottom part of the light. This is the other amazing thing about Counterculture DIY's dual light, is that it folds. Am I a sponsor? No. Do I want to be? Sure. So, CC DIY, if you are listening, or somebody who has a connection with them is listening or watching, hit me up, because I love your project. Okay, so the nice thing about this is we've got the lights from the bottom going up, and we have the lights from the top going down, so it's giving us a duo curing, essentially. And that's really what you want to have when you're doing UV resin. You want the light to be coming from both directions to cure that piece really nice and solid. Excuse me. Especially when you do colorants. If you are doing colorants, it is super important to do this, because if you don't, you could end up with uncured resin. And it's probably going to need more than 60 seconds. These probably not so much, but the heart being as thick as it is, I'm going to say it's going to take about 60 seconds to get, or a little more than 60 seconds to get that cured up. Now I did put my tool in there too, just so that you could see this resin cure. And look at that, just comes right off. I love that. Okay, so we're gonna put that back under for another 60 seconds. This is pretty solid, so you could build on this now and no issues. That was more just to use up our resin. As we're doing other things here, we might use that again. Where is this mold? I need this mold, because I know I put it in here too, because I got overly, I was like in a cleaning mode. I was like, I gotta get some of this space cleaned up. I can't work in a chaotic space. And yet 99% of the time I'm working in a chaotic space. It's just how it is. Okay. Because for these, I basically am going to try to put them in backwards. Okay. Now, the hole was closed up, but with a little tool end, I was able to get that taken care of. Actually, this one I'm going to do this way first. Maybe. Come on. All right. So basically, I'm just trying to get the little knob guy back in there, but he's being very stubborn about that. Maybe it's this one. Okay, so that's not gonna work, but that's okay. We got plan B. We have plan B. Plan dos. I am going to put this little silicone guy, which we need the tool. Where is our tool? On here. So these are like silicone hole makers, and this guy's so tiny that to get him to stick, there's a little tool here that allows us to stick it, but it is not sticking. Okay, well, I was hopeful that I'd be able to stick it to that, but we're not going there. Oh, I think my headset died, y'all. Un momento. Let's switch headsets. Gave me no warning. Okay. Gave me no warning that that was going to happen. Make sure it didn't pause us, which it didn't, because we are still going. Perfect. Okay. So, our heart peel off. Oh yeah, I decided it would stick to the tape. Cool, cool. Or the tape would stick to it. Nice, nice. We appreciate. This worked out pretty good. Get that off of me. Deburring tool. So we have just a little piece right here that just needs to come off. And it took every bit out. Okay. Doing good, folks. We're doing good. Let's see if we can get this tape off. I don't even know how that's on there at this point. Get our blue sticky stuff again. It's a little bendy. Okay, there we go. I got the tape off. It does look funky because we had a thin layer of the yellow on there already, so that's fine. Definitely that heart is not cured. I can tell that I'm smushing some color out on me, so I am going to put it back in the light. And we're going to go ahead and just do 180. Let's try to solidify that up. I guess I'm going to Dremel that bubble so that it's not catching sharp. I think that's what we're going to end up doing. Okay. Ever feel like maybe we're just doing a little too much at once? Yeah, that's probably what I'm doing. But here we roll. All right. And here's the thing, if we fill our hole in, I have the technology to get it out. So I'm not like overly concerned about the hole, but I would like to have it if I can keep it, kind of thing. And truthfully, I think this one is more the size. Oh, I got another one that's not through. I swear y'all I'm pushing on it, but man alive. Got it. Might have broke my skin, but I got it. Dropped our thing. I don't know if this one will fit. No. So we definitely gotta go the smaller ones. Okay. That's fine. I don't know why I'm putting it on there first. I was putting the earring on it. I feel like with my headphones dying, I just became... I don't know if anybody else has that happen where it's like one thing can make you just spiral into like silliness. And I'm like, what are we doing? Okay, let's just take a minute to breathe, shall we? Whew. That's what I think. Alrighty. Didn't even take a minute, but you know, we just need that little bit just to give us like reset, and we're good. Also drink a little water. I think that'll help too. Alrighty. So our heart should be, in theory, pretty well done. Nope, we still have fluid in there. So yep, we definitely got too much color into it. but we're not getting cured. So probably what we'll do is we'll put this under here. I'm going to move this off to the side so it can be doing its thing. And then what I'll do is I'll put a layer, a solid layer over top of that, just to avoid that. Okay. Now, let's get that poked through, but it's still being persnickety here. Alrighty, perfect. That's just to give us somewhat of a hole. Again, we can always drill it out, but like I said, I just want something. Now, I want to make these pop just a smidge more, okay? So what I want to do with them is I want to add some dried flowers and make them extra special with the dried flowers. So I have a variety of different ones. We're going to do a few different ones on here. Probably going to cut them some in half because they're the size of them and so forth. But I'm thinking like a half one of those on there is going to be really cute. And so forth. So we're going to go like that. See how cute that's going to be. If we end up over the edge, that's fine, because I'm going to clean that up before we're done. Now, I don't want to fill in all of this. That's not what I'm going for. I'm just trying to embellish and add a little bit. Okay. That's more of what I'm trying to do, essentially. Let me get our little tray here so I can put some clear resin in the bottom. And it's not going to take much. And we're just going to take a smidge, that big old bubble in there, which is fine when we're doing this. And we're going to paint it just where we want it, just to make sure that we can get that positioned where we want it. Here's the other advantage. It's going to hide some of our hole imperfections on the sides. So that's exactly what I'm going for. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing over here. Just do a little, basically I'm going to mirror them. Except I put the flower backwards. So let's do that. Now I should put a finger caught on because I can feel the resin. Oops, dropped a finger caught. All right, like that. And I didn't come with any like forward thinking on this. It's just literally, hey, in the moment, I'm seeing this is what I want kind of thing. So, you know, we're winging it, is what I would say. And we're going to put a solid layer of resin over top of these, so don't think, oh my gosh, she's leaving that the way it is. Nope, we are not. This is just to get these in position, and then we will do another layer for sure. My tweezers. Tweezers will help when you're doing little flowers like this. Now, I'm going left-handed. Paint that on. So I have this one a little bit more into the center, so I'm going to kind of do the same with this one. It's not fully laying down flat, but that's okay. Her teacher loves yellow, which is why I'm really playing with the yellow. I just wanted to, like I said, give these a little bit more texture, finished look per se. Now these are calendula. I don't know, y'all. I'm not a florist, but they're yellowish petals, so yeah. Florist watchers are like, oh my gosh, she just butchered that name, which I'm sure I did. Don't come at me. Pretty please. Don't come at me. So I'm just going to, you know, add some petals, possibly. We'll see. I may or may not keep these. I don't know. I wanted just kind of a wispy, playful look before I put the next flower down. Over here, I wanted to give a little something, you know, underneath, a little definition of something else. Okay. And you can find all kinds of dried flowers on Amazon. There are all sorts. So just look for what you might be looking for. And they probably have something that you want. There's all kinds. That one that I put on is pretty big. I should have looked for another one that size in my bunch of flowers. There we go. I'll get that more flat here. See, look at all these. Fun. So like I said, I'm just trying to kind of stick with more of the yellow theme. One, that's what our background is. Two, that's what the teacher's favorite color is. So just trying to somewhat give us that as our base and fun. Okay. Whoops. I was trying to undo where I smushed these petals. And then now I'm just making a mess of it. So I'm probably gonna just get our UV light, bring it over, get that on there, and then we'll put a solid layer of resin over top. Okay, so that really all this is doing is just tocking them in place before we put a thicker layer on. It's going to take a few layers. I'm not going to do them all at once. I'm going to do enough to get things kind of more in place. And then, yeah, we'll have to trim off the edges. Probably do some sort of coloring along the edge, just as a finishing touch. And we want to put a solid on this too, a clear, so that I seal that fully in there. I think I kind of did with that last layer that I bubbled up out, but I do want to make sure that we get that fully in there. Okay. So this over here because I should have enough here to put in the heart. And we'll cure that layer and then we'll do a full layer over the top. Okay? Yeah. Makes sense, right? And this, I'm going to try to build this up back here a smidge. Okay. Let's do a thin layer. I'm going to mainly go just like around that one, since I just want to do, oops, a thin layer. Same thing here, just trying to get kind of around it without overdoing it. Yes, I see the big bubble. Don't you worry. Be happy. See, this is just to kind of, that first layer was just to get these tacked in. And then now we're more full on, get them on here. And of course I'm trying to make sure that we don't end up overflowing the edge, that we're just right at the edge. You know, one of those fine line art things here. Okay, let's hit this with just a little bit so that we can do that. Okay, y'all, we're making progress. There was a moment there where I was like, are we making progress? And no, this is a long video, but promise it's worth it, right? At least we think so. I'm gonna be like, that was the longest tutorial ever. Although we came off of our tray tutorial, so I don't know which one's longer. We'll see. We'll see, we'll see. It's looking so good. Our flowers, our bigger flowers are a little different, or our medium flowers are a little different. Huh. Interesting. I think there were two different kinds of flowers. Oh well. It's all good. It is what it is now. This one right here, those are different. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, huh, yeah, those are definitely different. I'm going right on that one so that it can definitely, hopefully, get caught up here. The other thing you gotta be careful with if you are building layers like this, you do not want to get this to where it's so heavy that you're not gonna want it in your ear. So, no good way of knowing until it's done, of course. So I would just, you know, try not to do more layers than what you have to do is what I would say to that. Like, try to do as few, make it as thin as you can, I guess. Like, ideally, we would have maybe built these by putting the flowers in the mold and done it that way. But of course, we were using extra resin, so we weren't like in a place to do laying of flowers, you know, when we were designing or creating these. And I wouldn't have known that this is what I wanted to do with them until, you know, we got to this point. Oh, look at that. Big bunch of resin just pulled up over here on the side. Lovely. Okay. It's going to take some cleanup, but that's part of it. I'm going to feel them after this round and see if I want to keep going. The one yellows, the medium one that don't match, are protruding a smidge. And I might want to get those fully under, but I might just leave them textured. Because like once they're in your ears, you're not going to notice that, you know. And really, if I go a whole nother layer, I'm worried that they might be a little too heavy. So we're going to see. Let's see what we decide to do. We'll figure that out. We'll decide how we need to proceed here momentarily. And then we have one more set of earrings that we're going to do. Whew. I need a crafting brick. Because that's metal, it's sticking. Alright. Yeah, we gotta do another layer on that. It's a little sharp. They probably need cured a little longer. But I want to try to get this off of there. So that our tape doesn't fully stick to it. I'm going to put this back on here though so that I can do a layer on it. Okay. Let's see about these babies. Let's go ahead and trim off. We're definitely going to need to round this out. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I gotta get like a little bit of resin and just go in there. Yep. We're gonna need to do one final small layer and then go around the edge here with a little bit. This one did really good, and truthfully we really got this cleaned up, which is good. They're not like super light by any means. They're not the lightest I've done, but they're not the heaviest I've done either. So I feel like we're right in the path that we need to be. Let me put resin on this. That's kind of fun though that they have those that I can just lift them. I gotta get another resin out. Though I forgot to say, the UV resin I'm using is a Let's Resin high viscosity resin. Just waiting for it to come flowing. And yes, I know I'm at an angle. I'm not fully stressed about that. Maybe just a smidge. But it's okay. Because I'm just, more than anything, I try to get a thin layer across here. Pop the bubbles. I decided to be sneaky. And then I'm just gonna level that out, put it in the light. I really don't need the duo light for that, but it's gonna get the, well, no, it's only the top light is connected, so never mind. All right, so for this, essentially, I'm going to put me some more resin in my little container so that I can just fill this in. And probably just hand cure it with my small light. And then kind of go with that. That's my thinking. Okay. So basically getting that on my tool, and I'm wanting it to go down in here. There's like a little crevice, probably not really shown on the video. And then of course we have this gaping hole that I would love to get filled. Y'all see me thinking hard over there? Do you see the smoke coming from my head? Getting in the video from me thinking so hard. That's what I feel like. I'm like, okay, whew, there was a little smoke. We definitely were getting smoky there. So this is just a little handheld UV light. It's perfect for just what we're doing here, where we just need a little touch up. It's not going to be the last light that hits it, but it's definitely going to help hold what we just put on in place. It's definitely wet still, so don't do as I just did. I wish it was a little more curved here, but I don't think that's really possible. So it is what it is. There's a big hole there. Biggest thing when you're trying to fill holes like this, you gotta make sure another bubble doesn't try to sneak its way in there, an air bubble, because you're stuffing this resin in there. Oh, there's a hair. Get that off of there, hopefully. Okay. Just, oops, turned it off. Just enough to keep it in place while we do another layer on here. I may not, yeah, I'll probably paint the outsides. Okay. I was like, I may not, but I think I'm gonna have to. It's just not gonna look finished unless I do. You know, it's like one of those things. It's just not gonna be done until I do that. So it's like one of those things. You just are like, okay, I'll put this back on. All right, let's put one more layer on these. And then we're going to go over to these babies and see what we can do with them to get them finished up. This big old bubble in there. We'll get it popped. Ornamental. Biggest thing I'm trying to do is cover that medium flower that isn't matching to give it the full coverage or more coverage so that it's not sharp. Because it was still a tad sharp, and I don't want there to be a sharp piece, you know. Because if you're putting on earrings, you're handling them with your hand or your fingers, and I don't want anybody to get stabbed with it. Because resin is, even though it's a petal of a flower, it was coated in resin, and that can make it super sharp. Oh, we have overflow happening on our other one. I'm just going to do a quick, although I see a bubble. There we go. Just a quick little, I don't know if it'll do any good, but we're going to do it to try to, oh man. Okay, we got to get you out of this hot mess. Yep, yep, yep. Just drip off of there. Perfect. Let me make a mess. I mean, I'm fine with it overflowing right here, but goodness gracious, it is like full on overflowing. We got an air bubble. And we got some flowing on that one too. Goodness gracious. Might have to trim all the sides of these. Man alive. I feel like I'm making more and more issues arise. If that makes any sense. Okay. I'm just gonna get them under there, and then we're gonna have to do some dremeling and clean up. This guy is beautiful. Put a little hole over here, make it into a keychain. So cute. So, so cute. Okay. Yeah. All right. Whew. Let's do a smidge of cleanup. Make sure we're still recording. Good. I get nervous when we're going this long. That we're gonna have a failure per se, a technical failure, which we've already had. So let's not do another one today. All right. I wanted to get all that uncured resin off of there. So a little rubbing alcohol goes a long ways of cleaning that up. Okay. I'm going to get a new piece of tape because that piece definitely has been put through the ringer, shall we say. I was like, I know it fell. This roll is about out, but that's okay. Still enough. Will be good. This is why I have lots of stir sticks, you know. Okay, so these guys, I was worried about getting this interior piece out, but I think it's thin enough that it is going to come out. I can kind of just run my tweezers around that whole part and get it out. So yeah, that's cool. Because I told my daughter, I was like, are you okay if I fill that? If I decide I need to? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. But I don't think, the more I sat here, I was like, oh, ouch. These are super sharp tweezers, by the way. I like stab myself with it. the more I sat here working on those other ones, seeing these ones, I was like, I really don't want to fill that center if I don't have to. Now, I want to help get this some definition, and I do have a little bubble here that I might try to just get a smidge filled in, okay? Just a smidge. So, I thought about adding flowers in the center. I don't think so. I think what I want to do is I just want to put a little bit of paint. And we're going to just use a silicone brush because that is really all we need. Now this is a pop of color paint, and we're going to see if we like this. If we don't, we're going to go to plan B. But here's the thing, I think it's going to rub off somewhat because this is in a textured area, but not to the point that it goes away. So that's what I'm... Now the tape here is truly helping with keeping it stable where I want them to stay. Because if I didn't have that tape, it would make this almost impossible to keep still and everything. Now, I'm just taking a little foam brush. Oh. Well, that so did not do what I thought it was going to do. Yep. Did not. I thought, oh, it will stay in the crevice. Probably had to let it dry before I did a wipe off. Okay. So we're going to go to plan B. Although I do like that color. So we're going to go to plan B, but we're going to do something a little different. We're going to take our spongy. We're going to sponge it on nice and somewhat thin, but also getting down in these little divots, okay? Because I do somewhat like the look that it's giving. I just need to get it to do the full look. You know, it's like one of those things. Trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. Okay. These are giving me like very Jolly Rancher, cotton candy wisp vibes, we shall say. Now I want to try... Oh. Well, no wonder this one was not shaking earlier. It's like a hockey stick in there. Okay. Show you what we're going to do to just get the little bit of color that I want from it. It clearly was not sealed well enough when I put it away. Well, that didn't work either. Okay. Okay, we're going to try a little dispersion color. Ooh, I like this color. Liking it, y'all. If it does what I want it to, it's gonna look really cute. We'll see. Oh my gosh, I am now covered in pink. Work tomorrow is gonna be like, what in the world did you do? I'll be like, I played in my cuff space. Okay, that goes in the garbage. Did y'all just hear that? Oh my god. My garbage just went kaplunk everywhere. Okay. Yeah, we're going to clean that up in a little bit. All right, let's let that somewhat dry. Let's hit it with a little heat. Now, don't forget, like, we're going to cover this in UV resin, so, like, you know, me wiping it off, that's part of it, like, you know, where I'm not worried because we are going to cover it in UV resin, ultimately. Okay, let's put a little water on. And I really should have wore gloves, shouldn't I? Oh my gracious. Y'all, when we get like this, you know what that means. It's about time for this woman to wrap it up. Yup. Yup, yup. I love y'all and all, but it's about time for this woman to just be done crafting for today. Okay, I'm not sure we're doing what we're wanting to do, but we'll keep rolling with it. I really don't know if this was the look I was going for. I don't know at this point. I basically wanted somewhat shiny, which I think I'm achieving, and just going about it very oddly, maybe would be the right word. And I think now if we put a round of UV on there, that's kind of, I mean, they look pretty good. I do like them. I don't know if it's really the color situation I had fully intended, but also, like, not fully sure what I was going for either, maybe, shall we say. Yeah, I think that's gonna really do what I want it to do, truthfully. Now that I'm doing that, I think that's kind of what I needed to finish these off. Okay. Okay. You ever hit a point where you're like, enough's enough, we gotta just roll with it? That's the point where we're at with these. I think it's gonna look good once we do a coat of resin. Come on. And then what we'll do is I'll come back on the final part and put the earrings together. And do our keychain as well, but I'll put the earrings together and really get these fully finalized, because I know the yellow ones are going to need some help with their situation we've got going on. These I'm going to need to drill the hole back out because I'm filling it in to make sure that I get this situation back here more situated, and so forth. So I think what we'll do is we'll come back on for the last part to do that, because I just don't see it going well as much as I want to push through and finish for y'all. it and for my sake so that I can have it done, I definitely think I need to take a break. You know, my sisters say, if it's not bringing you joy. Not that this isn't, it's just that I am at that point where I am just, like, I can tell I'm making mistakes that I normally wouldn't make. And I'm kind of over it. Alright. Let's pick these up, flip flop. Put those under the light. Okay. Let's see how good or bad these are. Oh yeah. They're going to need a little bit more under the light to get fully cured up. They are going to need cleaned up on the sides, and as well as the sides being painted. In the back, we ended up getting a thin layer on, so I might even just paint the backs as well when we're painting the sides. The sides are still really sticky. So I'm going to put those under there for quite a while. I'm going to do 3 minutes just so that fully that gets handled and cured up. And then when we come back, they'll be fully cured, and I can, at that point, put them together, essentially. So, anyway, I know that was a very long episode, and so forth. So, hope you stuck with me. Hope it wasn't too chaotic, and I'll see you guys again real soon. Bye, y'all.